Tonight, you'll practice slow English through a quiet story from Havenport. A tired traveler arrives at a small hotel above the harbor. Inside her room, she finds an old notebook left behind by another guest. I'll speak slowly and clearly so you can relax, listen, and improve your English naturally. Welcome to Nightwave English. Good evening, listeners. You are listening to a late-night English broadcast from the quiet coastal city of Havenport. Outside the studio window, the rain is falling softly again. It moves across the rooftops. It touches the apartment balconies. It shines on the streets below. And near the harbor, the water reflects the lights of boats, hotels, cafes, and small buildings that stay awake long after midnight. Tonight, you do not need to hurry. You do not need to understand every word. Just listen. Follow the story. Let the rhythm of slow English carry you through the night. Little by little, the language will become clearer. Tonight's story is called The Hotel Room Above the Harbor. But first, let's begin with the weather in Havenport. This is the Nightwave weather report for Havenport. Tonight, steady rain continues across the harbor district. The temperature is around 8 degrees Celsius. The air is cold near the water, but calm between the buildings. A low mist is moving slowly over the docks. Mist is similar to fog, but usually lighter. It makes the lights look soft. It makes the harbor feel quiet and distant, even when you are standing close to it. Near North Pier, the roads are wet and shining. Taxis are moving slowly along the waterfront. A few buses are still running, but most of the city is already asleep. Some hotel windows are still lit. Some travelers are arriving late. Some night workers are finishing their shifts, and somewhere above the harbor, one room is waiting for a guest who does not yet know what she will find inside. Tonight's useful expression is to leave something behind. This can mean to forget something somewhere. For example, a person can leave a phone behind in a taxi. A traveler can leave a scarf behind in a hotel room. But the expression can also feel more emotional. Sometimes, people leave behind memories, a message, a small object, a part of themselves. Keep that expression in mind tonight, to leave something behind, because in this story, someone leaves behind more than a notebook. They leave behind a quiet reason to continue. Mara arrived in Havenport at 11:46 p.m. Her train had been delayed by rain outside the city. By the time she stepped onto the platform, the station was almost empty. The large clock above the exit showed the wrong time. The floor was wet from umbrellas and shoes. The lights were bright but tired. Everything had the strange feeling of a place that had been busy all day and was finally becoming quiet. Mara carried one suitcase. Not a large suitcase, just a small, dark one, with a broken wheel that made a soft clicking sound whenever she pulled it across the floor. Click, click, click. The sound followed her through the station. She was tired, not just sleepy. Tired in the deep way people feel after too many trains, too many messages, too many small problems, and too many hours spent pretending everything is fine. Outside the station, rain was falling gently. The taxis waited in a line near the entrance, their lights reflected on the wet pavement. Mara gave the driver the name of her hotel, the Harbor View Hotel. It was a small hotel near North Pier, above the old part of the harbor. The driver nodded and drove without asking questions. That was what Mara needed. No questions. Only movement. Only rain on the windows. Only the quiet city passing by. From the taxi, Havenport looked calm. Small cafes with closed doors. Apartment windows with warm lights. Narrow streets full of reflections. A laundromat still open on a corner. A late bus moving slowly through the rain. And then, after a few minutes, the harbor appeared. Dark water, soft lights, boats moving gently against the docks, ropes touching metal, signs glowing above hotel doors. Mara watched everything through the taxi window. The glass was wet, so the city looked blurred. Not unclear in a bad way. Blurred like a memory. Like something beautiful seen through tired eyes. The taxi stopped in front of a narrow building with 5 floors. A small sign above the door read, "The Harbor View Hotel." The sign was not bright. It was old, a little faded, but warm. Mara paid the driver, stepped out into the rain, and pulled her suitcase toward the entrance. Click, click, click. Inside, the lobby was small. A lobby is the entrance area of a hotel. Some lobbies are large and elegant. This one was simple. A wooden front desk, 2 chairs near the window, a small lamp, a bowl of keys, a plant in the corner, and the smell of old carpet, raincoats, and coffee. Behind the front desk, a man was reading a book. He looked up when Mara entered. He did not seem surprised to see someone arriving so late. Hotels near train stations and harbors are used to late arrivals. He checked her name, gave her a key, and explained that her room was on the 4th floor. Room 407. Breakfast would begin at 7. The elevator was slow, but working. And if she needed anything, she could call the front desk. Mara thanked him. Her voice sounded smaller than usual. Maybe because the lobby was so quiet. Maybe because she was so tired. Maybe because late at night, even simple words can feel heavy. The elevator was very old. It moved slowly. It made a low mechanical sound. Mara watched the numbers change. 2, 3, 4. When the doors opened, the hallway was dark except for small yellow lamps on the wall. The carpet made her footsteps almost silent. At the end of the hallway, she found room 407. The key turned with a soft click. The room was small, but cozy. A bed with white sheets, a wooden chair, a small desk, a lamp beside the bed, a narrow bathroom, and 1 large window looking out over the harbor. Mara did not turn on the main light. Only the bedside lamp. The room filled with a warm orange glow. Outside, rain moved across the window. Below, the harbor lights trembled on the water. A boat horn sounded far away, low, lonely, almost gentle. Mara placed her suitcase near the door and sat on the bed. For a moment, she did nothing. She did not check her phone. She did not unpack. She did not remove her coat. She simply sat there and looked at the window. Sometimes, after a long journey, arriving does not feel real immediately. The body arrives first. The mind arrives later. After a few minutes, Mara stood up and took off her coat. She placed it on the chair. Then she opened the small drawer beside the bed. A drawer is a box-shaped part of a table or desk that you can pull open. People put small things inside drawers: pens, books, receipts, old coins, forgotten notes. In hotel rooms, drawers are usually empty, but this one was not. Inside, Mara found a notebook. It was small, blue, a little worn at the corners. There was no name on the cover, only one sentence written in black ink. For the next person who needs this room. Mara stared at it. For the next person who needs this room. Not the next guest. Not the next traveler. The next person who needs this room. She sat back down on the bed and opened the notebook. The first page had only 3 lines. I stayed here for 12 nights. I was learning English. I wrote 1 sentence every evening. Mara turned the page. The handwriting was careful, slow, a little uneven, like someone writing in a language that was still new to them. The first sentence said, "Today, I am tired, but I'm still here." Mara read it twice. Then she looked out at the harbor. The rain continued. A small boat moved in the dark water. The lights from the opposite pier reflected in long yellow lines. She returned to the notebook. On the next page, another sentence. "I do not understand everything, but I understand more than yesterday." Mara smiled faintly. It was a simple sentence, but it felt honest. Not dramatic, not perfect, just honest. And sometimes, honest words are the ones that stay with us. The notebook belonged to someone who had stayed in room 407 before her. A previous guest. A guest is a person staying at a hotel. This guest had probably sat on the same bed, looked out of the same window, listened to the same harbor rain. And every night, they had written 1 sentence in English. Some sentences were practical. "I need to buy a ticket tomorrow. The front desk is on the ground floor. The coffee was too strong today." Some were more personal. "I miss my family tonight. The rain makes me feel calm. I am afraid to speak, but I want to try." Mara read slowly. She was not trying to finish the notebook quickly. She was not studying it like a lesson. She was simply listening to the person behind the words. A stranger. Someone she would never meet. Someone who had left something behind. Not by accident, perhaps. Maybe on purpose. Maybe because they had hoped another tired traveler would find it. The expression "to leave something behind" returned to Mara's mind. The notebook had been left behind. But it was not like leaving behind a charger, or a scarf, or a pair of socks. This was different. This was a small trace of someone's life. A trace is a sign that someone or something was there before. Footprints in the snow are a trace. A coffee stain on a page is a trace. A notebook in a hotel drawer can be a trace too. Mara turned another page. This sentence was written more carefully than the others. A language is not only words, it is a door. Mara stopped reading. A language is not only words, it is a door. She looked at the sentence for a long time. Outside, the rain touched the window softly. Inside, the room felt warmer than before. She thought about all the times she had felt blocked by language, by silence, by fear, by not knowing how to say what she meant. She thought about conversations she had avoided, messages she had written and deleted, people she wanted to understand better. The stranger was right. A language was not only words, it could be a door to another person, a door to another place, a door to a version of yourself that was not afraid to try. If this quiet broadcast is helping you tonight, you can subscribe to Nightwave English and return for the next story from Havenport. There will be more slow English stories, more rainy nights, and more calm broadcasts waiting for you after midnight. Mara kept reading. The notebook had 12 entries, one for each night. The person had written about the hotel, the harbor, the rain, and their English. On the fourth night, they had written, "Today, I spoke English to the woman at the bakery. I made one mistake, but she understood me." On the fifth night, "The mistake did not matter. I bought the bread." Mara laughed softly, not loudly, just enough to change the room. The mistake did not matter. I bought the bread. It was funny because it was true. So many people are afraid of mistakes. But sometimes the result is simple. You make a mistake. The other person understands. You get the bread. Life continues. On the seventh night, the stranger had written, "I listened to the rain and repeated one sentence. I am getting better." Mara whispered the sentence once, very quietly. "I am getting better." She did not say it as practice. She said it because she wanted to know how it felt. The words felt soft, possible, not completely true yet, maybe, but possible. That was enough. On the 10th night, the handwriting changed. It looked more tired. The sentence said, "Tonight, I wanted to stop learning. Then I remembered that slow progress is still progress." Mara closed the notebook for a moment. That sentence felt important, not only for English, for everything: healing, working, changing, starting again, living through difficult seasons. Slow progress is still progress, even when no one sees it, even when it happens in a small hotel room above a rainy harbor, even when it is only one sentence written before sleep. Mara stood and walked to the window. From room 407, she could see almost the entire harbor, the old pier, the sleeping boats, the taxi stand near the hotel, a small convenience store still open, 2 people sharing an umbrella, a bus turning slowly at the corner. The city felt far away and close at the same time. She thought about the person who had written the notebook. Maybe they had stood here too. Maybe they had looked at the same lights. Maybe they had wondered if they were improving. Maybe they had felt alone. Maybe the room had helped them rest. A hotel room is usually temporary. Temporary means not permanent, only for a short time. You arrive, you sleep, you leave. But sometimes, a temporary place gives you exactly what you need. A quiet bed, a window, a lamp, a notebook, a sentence that arrives at the right moment. Mara returned to the bed and opened the notebook to the last page. The final entry was longer. It said, "Tomorrow, I leave Havenport. I am still not fluent. I still make mistakes. But I can say more than before. I can listen more than before. I can try again." If you found this notebook, maybe you are tired too. Maybe you are learning something. Maybe you feel far from home. Please write one sentence before you leave. Then leave the notebook behind for someone else. Mara read the final line again. Please write one sentence before you leave. Then leave the notebook behind for someone else. She placed the notebook on the bed beside her. For a while, she did not write anything. She was tired, very tired, but not empty, not anymore. The room felt different now, less anonymous. Anonymous means without a name or identity. At first, room 407 had felt anonymous. Just another hotel room, another bed, another window, another place to sleep. But now, it had a story. It had a stranger's words inside it, and that made it feel human. Mara took a pen from her bag. She opened the notebook to a blank page. She thought carefully. She wanted to write something good, something meaningful. But the notebook did not need perfect words. That was the point. It needed honest words. So she wrote, "Tonight, I arrived tired. I found your notebook. Now I feel less alone." She stopped. Then she added one more sentence. "I will keep learning." Slowly. She looked at the words. They were simple, but they were true. She left the notebook open on the desk while she got ready for bed. She brushed her teeth, changed into comfortable clothes, put her suitcase beside the chair. Then she turned off the main lamp and left only the small bedside light on. Outside, the harbor remained dark and beautiful. The rain continued. Inside, room 407 was quiet. Mara got into bed. For the first time all day, she felt her body relax. Before sleeping, she looked once more at the notebook on the desk. Someone had left something behind, and tomorrow she would leave something behind too, not by mistake, on purpose, for the next person who needed the room. In the morning, Havenport was gray and calm. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet. Mara woke early. For a few seconds, she did not remember where he was. Then he saw the harbor outside the window, the desk, the notebook, the soft yellow light of morning. She made coffee with a small machine in the room. It was not very good coffee, but it was warm, and sometimes warm is enough. Before leaving, she read her sentence one more time. Then she closed the notebook and placed it back inside the drawer, exactly where she had found it. She put her coat on, picked up her suitcase, and looked at the room one last time. Room 407 was still just a hotel room, a bed, a desk, a window, a drawer. But now it also felt like a small station in someone's journey, a place where people passed through, a place where tired travelers could rest, a place where words could wait quietly for the next person. Mara closed the door behind her. The lock clicked. In the hallway, the lamps were still glowing softly. The elevator came slowly. Downstairs, the man at the front desk was pouring coffee into a paper cup. He asked if she had slept well. Mara said yes, and this time, her voice sounded stronger. Not loud, not bright, just a little more present, a little more awake. Outside the hotel, the harbor smelled of rain and salt water. The morning was beginning. A bus waited near the corner. People were walking to work. A delivery truck stopped in front of a cafe. Life was starting again. Mara pulled her suitcase along the wet pavement. Click, click, click. This time, the sound did not feel lonely. It felt like movement, like continuation, like slow progress. And that is the end of tonight's story. The hotel room above the harbor was not special because it was beautiful. It was special because someone had left a small piece of hope inside it. A notebook, a few sentences, a reminder that learning takes time, a reminder that mistakes do not mean failure, a reminder that slow progress is still progress. Sometimes we leave something behind without knowing who will find it. A kind word, a small light, a message, a memory, and sometimes that is enough to help someone continue. Before we close tonight's broadcast, let's stay for a moment in Havenport. The night is deep now. Near the harbor, most hotel windows are dark, but a few lights remain. One room above the water, one lamp near a desk, one person reading before sleep. The rain moves softly across the glass. The boats are quiet. The streets are almost empty. A taxi waits outside the station. A cafe sign turns off. A night worker walks home with tired shoulders. Somewhere in Lumen District, a radio plays quietly. Somewhere near North Pier, a traveler opens a drawer and finds something unexpected. A sentence, a trace, a door. The city keeps these small moments. It holds them gently. Then it lets them pass to someone else, like light reflected on water, like rain moving from roof to street, like words moving from one person to another. And if you are listening tonight, maybe you are also leaving something behind. Your effort, your attention, your quiet practice. Even if no one sees it, it matters. Every minute you listen is part of your progress. Every story makes English a little more familiar. Every night you return, the language feels a little less far away. Before we say goodnight, let's remember a few useful words and expressions from tonight. Hotel room is the room where a guest stays in a hotel. Front desk is the place in a hotel where you check in, ask questions, and receive your key. Guest means a person staying at a hotel. Drawer is a small part of a table or desk that you can pull open. Harbor is a place near the water where boats stay. Temporary means something lasts for a short time. Anonymous means without a name or identity. Trace means a small sign that someone or something was there. And tonight's main expression, to leave something behind. It can mean forgetting something in a place, but in tonight's story, it also means leaving a small part of yourself, a message, a memory, a reason for someone else to continue. Keep this sentence with you tonight. Slow progress is still progress. Not fast, not perfect, but real. This has been Nightwave English, broadcasting from the quiet coastal city of Havenport. Tonight's episode was The Hotel Room Above the Harbor. Thank you for spending part of your night with us. If you would like to return to Havenport for another night of slow English listening, you can subscribe to Nightwave English. The next broadcast will be waiting for you after midnight. Until then, stay warm, stay curious, and remember, you do not need to understand everything tonight. Just keep listening. Little by little, English will become clearer. Good night, listeners. I'll meet you again after midnight.